Veteran director Zack Snyder talked about how the internal dealings and trades worked within Warner Brothers. Welcome to Stats In. If you're just joining us, please subscribe and don't forget to turn on notifications bell for more video. Please like, share and subscribe for more. While he was making his 2021 film, well, not just once, but Snyder may have broken the rules of DC Comics and Warner Brothers Pictures twice throughout his brief time in the DCU. These rule breaks, however, were nothing short of ordinary. Zack Snyder is arguably one of the great directors in Hollywood, with millions of fans and an equal amount of haters. The director is known for often breaking the rules while making a film. When the director sat for an interview with Vanity Fair, he revealed that Warner Brothers was quite hesitant in adding that scene. Snyder, however, had his own set of rules to follow. After the disastrous tragedy that happened in Zack Snyder's life, the director left the production of Justice League, and MCU director Joss Whedon had to step in and take over the project. The end result was a chaotic show where Aquaman made jokes about Batman, while the color grading was haywire. After Snyder was put on probation by the executives at Warner Brothers, fans rallied in support of the director, and the hashtag release the Snyder Cut became world famous. As a result, the 2021 film Zack Snyder's Justice League was released, which featured a post-credit scene with Batman and the Joker in a dystopian world. Oh, what was up with Martian Manhunter throughout the whole movie? It felt like his story was just about to be told, but the end credits started rolling. Well, Snyder has a tale for that too. They didn't want me to suggest more films to come. They wanted me to cul-de-sac it as much as I could. I'm like, look, that's just not the genre. It's not the comic book genre to end the story, regardless if we ever make another one or not. We do get it that Snyder had a fair assumption that his DCU was going to end anytime soon. Despite not promising future movies, the director simply wanted to leave a bit of breathing room in case people changed their minds. Oh, what was up with Martian Manhunter throughout the whole movie? It felt like his story was just about to be told, but the end credits started rolling. Well, Snyder has a tale for that too. The film received a rating of 7.9/10 on IMDb and an equally high of 71% on Rotten Tomatoes after its release. Zack Snyder's Justice League is available to stream on Max in the US. As the interview with Vanity Fair continued, the Army of the Dead director further revealed the things that he had to endure during the reign of DCU. Snyder even revealed that he wasn't allowed to showcase Green Lantern in Zack Snyder's Justice League and instead was given Martian Manhunter as compensation. They were like, "We have plans for Jon Stewart and we want to do our own announcement." So I said, all right, I'll give you that. So, Martian Manhunter was the compromise. Although there were some ups and downs during the making and release of the iconic 2021 film, it was worth it in the end. Seeing Henry Cavill's Superman in a black suit was enough for millions of fans. Zack Snyder and Warner Brothers' difficult road to getting the Justice League made included a futile compromise to cut the Green Lantern from DCU. Welcome to Stats In. If you're just joining us, please subscribe and don't forget to turn on notifications bell for more video. Please like, share and subscribe for more. The 5-part Justice League story that he had cooked up for the fans of the grim dark universe was to remain in the shadows, forever festering like an old untreated wound. However, Snyder has managed to outlive and outgrow the controversy and scandal wrought on by the DC Extended Universe. In the aftermath, the director found himself accepting the possibility that he would never again visit the DC Universe. As such, it was an easy decision to spoil the rest of his Justice League story, which was set to complete his 5-part DCU trilogy. Zack Snyder has always been a visionary when it comes to expansive storytelling. His hold over comic book lore and the cinematic medium combined to give the audience and the studios an unprecedented experience that almost launched a rebellion across the globe for the sake of one film. Bringing in Martian Manhunter was a compromise on his part when Warner Brothers refused to concede on their end. Despite having to change such a key piece of the puzzle, Snyder later managed to make the character work in the broader context of the story, even adding an element of surprise and mystery to Harry Lennox's General Swanwick, who had first appeared in Man of Steel. In any other world, a director would have preferred a character with a much richer history to take over the mantle of the Overseer and Messenger than the Martian Manhunter. Zack Snyder was no different. The director always meant to bring in the Green Lantern instead of the Martian Manhunter to serve as the final piece of his Justice League puzzle. Then, his vision would be complete. However, the studio threw a wrench in his plans. Snyder's original blueprint for the 5-part DCU story was not acceptable to Warner Brothers for numerous reasons, a primary one being that they were developing separate projects on the side that could be appended by Snyder's vision. However, the studio's reluctance to veer away from the familiar and well-trodden path killed Zack Snyder's vision, resulted in a catastrophic blunder for the studio that fought against millions of fans in a 5-year-long campaign and went broke, and ultimately never got to enact their plans for Jon Stewart, for which WB made Snyder compromise and bring in the Martian Manhunter. Zack Snyder's Justice League is available for streaming on Max. Although the Martian Manhunter did make several fans raise their eyebrows at the screen, Zack Snyder's decision to bring him in was not entirely in vain. But the lores of DC state that the Justice League can never be complete without a Green Lantern. With a number of creative changes that Snyder applied to his reimagined DCU, the absence of one wasn't a deal-breaker. In a 2021 interview with Vanity Fair, Snyder revealed the behind-the-scenes deal that he brokered with the studio after his decision to bring in Jon Stewart as Green Lantern was nullified by WB. "We shot a version of this scene with Green Lantern, but the studio really fought me and said, 'We really don't want you to do Green Lantern.' So I made a deal with them, and they let me do this instead. They were like, 'We have plans for Jon Stewart and we want to do our own announcement.' So I said, 'All right, I'll give you that.' So, Martian Manhunter was the compromise." The 5-part Justice League story that Snyder was developing for DC had the potential to be one of the greatest achievements in the live-action cinematic world, ending with Superman and Lois's son, Bruce Kent, taking on the mantle of the Dark Knight 20 years after the events of the finale. It had to happen this way, huh? Mufasa, The Lion King got its early reviews, and unfortunately, but also expectedly, the reviews were not so great. This is a wake-up call. The early reviews for Disney's live-action film Mufasa, The Lion King are here, and it does not look too good for the entertainment giant. Again, from the many flares and colors of the real world to the almost expressionless faces of the animals, since it is tough work, the early reviews for Mufasa, The Lion King tell a tale of a battle fought bravely but also quite stupidly. Another day, another Disney live-action film that didn't live up to its expectations. Although the expectations were indeed low with this one, considering Disney's love-hate relationship with remakes, the fans were still disappointed. Hollywood, particularly Disney, has been following a trend for quite a while now where they remake their movies into live action. As if that wasn't enough, they also add modern thoughts and theologies into these movies, leaving audiences with a bland mixture of so many unimportant things. It had to happen this way, huh? Mufasa, The Lion King got its early reviews, and unfortunately, but also expectedly, the reviews were not so great. This is a wake-up call. Even the early reviews on Rotten Tomatoes tell. Christopher Nolan calls Zack Snyder's DC film ahead of its time, crediting the filmmaker's influence on superhero cinema and its darker storytelling. Welcome to Stats In. If you're just joining us, please subscribe and don't forget to turn on notifications bell for more video. Please like, share and subscribe for more.